You're listening to the Rewrite the Rules podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Harriet.
I'm Beth.
And I'm Natalie.
You want to work towards achieving true food and body image freedom, you are in the right place.
Rewrite the Rules podcast is your survival guide to letting go of harmful societal expectations and unlearning any unhelpful beliefs that are stopping you from having a healthy and loving relationship with food and yourself.
Our mission is to help you feel heard, understood, and empower you to step out of the box and rewrite your rules so you can live life on your terms. Thank you for tuning in.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Rewrite the Rules. I think this is episode 9.
I think so. We've done so many now, it's hard to keep up.
I know.
But yeah, welcome back. We have an amazing topic to discuss this week. I think it's a very much needed topic as well. We are so excited to talk about it. And we know that today's topic is something that needs to be spoken about, especially around this time of year. And today's episode is all about why you don't need a summer body.
I've been so looking forward to this episode. Literally ever since we wanted to create the podcast, this was on the list. So I'm so glad we're getting around to it. But yeah, so like this episode is really important because, you know, we can tell you from our experience, and I'm sure everyone listening to this will also be able to relate to the fact that when you come into summer, you suddenly start to feel this expectation and pressure to conform to this idea of having a summer body. What even is that? It doesn't exist. But we all know somewhat what that means. And so I think this episode will be really important to share.
Definitely. And yeah, we wanted to talk upon this today, obviously to help anybody out there that's struggling. We want to debunk why we feel this overwhelming need to suddenly get fit, healthy, lean, skinny, but specifically why we need to do that for summer, or why we feel we need to do that for summer, and how you can break free from this by giving you some guidance, giving you our experience, and hopefully some helpful tips.
Yes, 100%. So should we start off by just kind of explaining, like, where do we start to hear the summer body lingo and our experience of it?
Sure, yes.
So I think like the obvious source of this narrative around having a summer body definitely obviously comes from weight loss programs. I think it's instilled in like most people you talk to. I think you hear your friends a lot. Well, I personally used to hear like my friends and family talk about how, oh, summer's coming up. So, you know, gotta, you know, trim the body, trim the fat. Got to start being more careful, start being more cautious. So you hear a lot of people talking and using this lingo and sharing this narrative. But for me, I think this really heavily comes from the fitness industry more than anything else. And I don't know, maybe some people might disagree, but I think the whole idea, like, get your summer body, start now, don't wait until it's too late. I hear it mostly from the fitness industry, and especially as a way for people to sell their programs. I've actually been disgusted at the amount that I've seen this lingo and this narrative being used as advertisement for people's fitness programs. And the thing is, like, you don't even just see it in the summer, you see it all year round, because different people have different perspectives on like when you should start. And so you're going to always have that person who's like, well, you should start in autumn because, you know, to do it quote unquote sustainably, you should start in autumn. Then you're going to have people who are like, you know, you should start after Christmas. But so you hear it, it's not even just in summer that you hear this absolute nonsense about having a summer body. That's definitely where I feel like I see most of this nonsense being spoken about.
Yeah, and I think I completely agree. Obviously, we'll talk about it more and how we need to be aware that, you know, it's an industry in which makes money, you know, personal trainers, fitness programs, so they obviously hone in on people's insecurities, and they make us feel like they're amplified, you know, us feeling like we have to get in a pair of shorts for summer, you know, etc. But I definitely do feel it a lot from outside conversations, from friends, from family, as you said, Harriet, because I really do think that we're conformed and it has become second nature to feel this need and want to have this said summer body to feel comfortable, you know. Well, you're not going to feel comfortable, you're not going to feel like you're going to want to get your arms out in a dress in summer if you haven't gone on a diet. And I think for me as well, I don't know if you felt like this, but it really just seems like it's what you do, it's what has been done. I genuinely thought, is that not what you do when you go on holiday? Like, everyone goes on a diet before they go on holiday. Everyone wants to lose weight, like, and it almost makes you feel like you're not worthy of that holiday, or you're not worthy to enjoy the weather when it gets nice wherever you live, unless you've attained this body shape that you want, or you're being told that you should have.
Absolutely. And it's almost like when you decide not to diet for summer, you feel like you're going against the norm, and it feels really uncomfortable and like you're the outsider. I definitely think a lot of this is like pushed by social media, obviously probably in magazines as well, but I don't read that garbage anymore. But I do feel like each week I've been reminded on all platforms that there is only X amount of weeks till summer. You've only got X amount of days now to get into your bikini body and to like start now. And I don't exactly know how many weeks it is till summer. I feel like it's like the last time I was like painfully reminded of it, it was like 5 weeks. But all of the fitness programs are literally geared towards getting you in shape for summer. And I wouldn't be as bothered if they tried to sugarcoat it a little bit, but they are so blatantly obvious when they use words like shred for summer or like summer abs and things like that. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is so screaming like toxic diet culture to me. And I'm just like, you could at least like try and sugarcoat this or hide it a little bit, but they literally don't. And I think for me personally, when I see it, it just feels like it's trying to incite panic and trying to incite crash dieting, especially, you know, when they start in January and they're like, okay, you've got so many months to get in shape for summer. Whereas now it's like, right, you've only got a couple of weeks left. Do this to get in shape in 5 weeks. That's crash dieting. That isn't even trying to do it slowly. That is literally just trying to encourage you to overwork your body and starve your body, in my opinion. And like, obviously I hear like family and friends talking about how they just don't feel worthy enough to get in like a bikini. And even last week, I heard someone say, oh my God, I'm in a bikini in a couple of weeks' time and I haven't started my diet yet. And I had to be like, I had to remind them, like, you are perfect as you are. You don't need to start anything. You can just put the bikini on and that is fine and that is great. And you're allowed to feel confident without having to change anything about yourself. But we are like constantly surrounded by that message. And like I said, like just a lot of the programs that are being advertised when they're called like summer shred and things like that, it just feels like such like a slap in the face to me anyway.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, there are so many people out there who, yeah, like you said, Beth, are just so like blatant about this, like, are just so blatantly toxic, and they're not even trying to sugarcoat it. But then there's this like, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, there's this like category of people who've caught on to the fact that diet culture can be very toxic, and people are starting to catch on to this. So they start their messaging by being like, we're different, this isn't a diet, you know, we're different from that. And there was this one post I saw, and I'm sure I sent it to you girls, where the guy was like, yeah, so like, you absolutely don't need to conform to having a summer body. You don't need to get in shape just because it's summer. But join my program because I can still get you in shape for summer.
Yeah, that's what confuses me. It's like they're luring you in by giving you a hug, and then they're like kicking you in the shins. Like, no, hold on a minute. Like, I will make you get this. And this is what I mean. Beth, when you talk about like, there's such an aggressive approach in which sometimes they're saying it, like you say, Harriet, they're luring you in, but really they're just going to try and, you know, have the same outcome as every other diet. They're just trying to make money, obviously. So if they've got such an aggressive sort of stance on how they're trying to make you join up with them, then of course the diet is going to be really aggressive and also isn't going to be very enjoyable. But yeah, I completely agree, Harriet. We had, all of us, didn't we have a conversation about some posts that we saw, and we were just like, it's so, what is the words? They're complete opposite ends of the spectrum, in which whatever PT that we were reading at the time, they were starting out, you know, talking, and then how they're ending it, like it was mad.
Yeah, it's on my TikTok. I did a full commentary on it. If
Yeah,
anyone
love
wants to
that.
see it, you have to scroll down a bit
Yeah.
because it was quite a few weeks ago. But yeah,
Sometimes you think like people are like, sometimes you think like the fitness industry has been like progressive and he's like moving with the times and like adapting. And then summer comes along and then you see stupid ass posts like this and it just felt like a slap in the face to be
Yeah.
like, are you not looking around? Are you not seeing, you know, the eating disorders and things like that that are becoming even more common? It just feels idiotic
I
to me.
think very few fitness like accounts or brands, whatever, are progressive. And I know that might be controversial, but I think a lot of them are still diets in disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the ones that aren't a slap in the face are more like, oh, do you want to get confident for summer? Do you want to feel more comfortable in your body for summer? Yeah, that's a softer way of saying it. But as someone, you know, who like we're all very educated and have our own experiences on things like disordered eating, you can see exactly what they're trying to say without them
Without
saying
saying
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I'm so glad we're talking about this because we just want you guys listening to be aware of that there's going to be, you're going to see people on social media who essentially pretend to be anti-diet culture and to, you know, want to help your mental health as well and care about your mental health as well. But no, I'm just not buying it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we were just saying as well, what I think we all need to realise is probably back when I was in recovery, I was still really, maybe I was quite in denial of the fact that I was looking at certain accounts and seeing somebody promoting, you know, recovery, but then I was seeing images of their body and I was thinking, oh my God, this person can recover, but they can still attain a body like that. And it made me constantly look at their profile. It made me really interested in what they were doing, what they were eating, when in reality, who's to say that that person still isn't really struggling themselves? Because as we do say, for me, weight loss and recovery, it just doesn't work. Like, you have to choose one or the other, because to lose weight is to restrict, and to restrict is to binge, or it's to feel guilt around food. And that's, you know, the place in which we're at in recovery and what we want to recover from. So yeah, I don't know, I think it's a very, very just a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah. I love the mindset and like the message some people put across. They're just like, yes, we understand like it's uncomfortable for you to completely give up that idea of losing weight. Like it's hard for people, you know, if you've been on this planet 25 years, constantly dieting, to just stop attempting to diet is really hard. It's really uncomfortable. It's not easy. So I like the sort of message of, right, okay, you've got this idea of wanting to lose fat. You were also suffering from some form of like disordered eating. Let's put the fat loss just on the back burner. Okay. You don't have to completely get rid of it for now. Just put it on the back burner and focus more on repairing your relationship with food, repairing your relationship with exercise. And that's definitely what I had to do. But then by the time you found that food freedom, this is for me anyway, by the time I'd repaired my relationship with exercise and my body, I no longer gave a crap about losing weight, and I'd like completely forgot that. So it's not just like trying to tell people, oh, just give up dieting right now. We know that that's difficult and that takes time. You can't just wake up one day and not care about weight loss anymore, but it's just doing it slowly and just picking your priorities, putting some things that are more unhelpful on the back burner and like focusing and just like repairing all those relationships first.
100%. I think it's a really good point because I definitely have observed some anti-diet accounts almost, yeah, like I don't know if it's their intention, but being quite direct about making people feel bad for wanting to lose weight. And you know, I know for me in my journey, I definitely felt shame whenever I had that thought, that intrusive thought of you should lose weight. And you don't, with recovery, you don't need to add any more shame, blame, or judgment on top of what you're already feeling. So if you want to lose weight, that doesn't need to come along with like shame or blame, but it's exactly like you said, Beth, just gently putting it to the side and focusing on healing your relationship with food and your body first, and then you can come back to it and see whatever how you feel. Most of the time you probably don't even want to go near weight loss again because of the risks that come with it, but you can address that at another point. But it's just for like right now, you're just gently putting it to the side.
Absolutely. And just quickly going back to what Natalie said as well about sort of like social media accounts and stuff. Look, the amount of times that I've followed people and thought that they had really good balance with food and exercise, and then 6 or 12 months down the line, they'd be posting about how much they hated their body, like at that time and stuff. Like, people aren't always accurate and honest about their journeys, and they might tell you, I've got this food freedom, like I've got total balance and happiness, and they actually don't. And it's just like a facade and just like a performance, really. So like, always like take whatever you see on social media, especially in summertime, just with like a pinch of salt, or like a handful of salt, as Harriet would say.
Salt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Shall we explain as well, like, our experience of the pressure that we felt around summer and, you know?
Yeah. So honestly, like the panic that I used to feel towards summer makes me like a little bit anxious, just trying to like remember that feeling and like remember that person. Because for me, it just felt like a countdown clock or like a ticking time bomb. That's how like I'd try and describe it. And it was basically like, if you aren't X amount of weight or sort of like visually looking a certain way by the time that the sun comes out, then you've failed. And this is exactly how I felt. I was just like, well, I've let myself go then, haven't I? And I just remember like feeling really embarrassed if I hadn't sort of reached the goals that I wanted to by the time the sun decided to come out. And like, with it being the UK as well, the sun is very unpredictable. And that was just like, it filled me with so much panic. And this was obviously like perpetuated by like social media and advertisements, like reiterating the message of like shredding for summer and getting abs for summer as well. So it's not even just like trying to lose weight for summer. They're like, we want you to have this like ab definition as well, which isn't possible for everyone, even if they tried their hardest. That's like a big reminder. And just like getting your bikini body ready. So like, if we'd had like a really hot day a little bit earlier in the year than I'd sort of expected, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not ready. Like, it'd send me into like full on panic mode. But the reality was that sort of 365 days a year, I was never happy with the skin I was in. Like, no matter how small I got or how big I got or whatever I was in between, I was never satisfied. So obviously that just, you know, reiterates the fact it was never anything to do with my body. There was never a problem with my body. It was just my mindset and how I was looking at my body. But especially like the people I followed on social media at that time literally just had one body type. I will admit that, like, everyone was just like a carbon copy of each other. So each summer I was just left feeling like a total failure, because the physique I was trying to obtain was literally impossible for my body. And it was exhausting, because like, even in the moments that I was like successfully losing a few pounds, I was just never satisfied. I was never ever satisfied for a second. And I would like find ways to justify my dieting for summer too, because, you know, I didn't shut out anti-diet talk. I was like quite intrigued by it, and I'd like be open to listen to it. So I'd like try and like tell myself, you know what, I'm just losing weight to be happier. Like, this isn't about the physical changes. I'm trying to lose weight to be happier. I remember setting myself a little goal, and I've got it in a notepad somewhere, that I was trying to lose weight so that my thighs would reduce in size so they wouldn't chafe as much. Now, your gal's got thick thighs, okay? Like, summertime, it comes around and we get bad chafing. But I didn't even realize my lack of thigh gap literally wasn't anything to do with my body fat percentage. It was literally like my skeletal structure and the fact I had narrow hips instead of wide set hips, and not because of anything else. So yeah, I use like excuses like that to try and justify me like losing weight for summer as well, and being like, oh, I'm not falling into diet culture. I'm doing this for like the greater good, if you know what I mean. But obviously now I realize I was still very much trapped in like diet culture and stuff. But summer was just like a traumatic time for me. I don't know whether any of you girls can relate.
Yeah, everything. It's just trauma. And it's so annoying as well, because it's like, you talking about those things there, I know what you mean when it's like, I'm justifying this weight loss for another reason. But really, when you do think about it, it's because, like, with the thigh gap, that was such a popular thing to want to have, and you almost trick yourself in thinking it's for another reason. But yeah, I don't think there was really ever a holiday that I went on before obviously recovery, in which I didn't feel like I had to go on a diet for. And it was actually a holiday that I went on with my best friend, and she had really struggled with binge eating, restriction, everything. And we went on this holiday, and I saw her in such a happy place with food, and I wasn't. And it was actually this holiday that really sort of kickstart me into thinking I need to do something about this now. I need to recover. But yeah, for me, I would just absolutely dread going on holiday because it brought on anxiety, severe binges. I would feel so inferior to, like, I'd be on a beach and all I was thinking was I would be just scanning, thinking I don't look like that. I wish I looked like that. Feeling uncomfortable in a bikini. I didn't ever feel like I was present as well, which really, really frustrates me, thinking about how much time I wasted. A holiday is something that you save up for such a long time for. It's a big amount of your savings that you're probably going to spend. And then when you're spending half the time not actually feeling like you're being able to be present to enjoy it, I think that is one of the most soul destroying things when you look back on it. And also just hating photos. That was the one thing that just used to really annoy me, that I could feel fine. Someone could show me a photo and then bang, day's ruined. And I really feel like if you were to show me those photos now, I wouldn't care. But there was something in my head in which I viewed myself in such a different way, and it wouldn't have mattered even if I looked amazing. I still would have said that I looked awful, and just this immense food guilt. And this holiday for me, in which really forced me to change, I remember like it was like a write-off. As soon as I got to the airport, it was like this week-long binge. And I remember like on holiday I was hiding food, I was eating in secret when everyone else went to sleep. It was just awful, and I never ever want to feel like that in general. Holidays and summer in the UK was just met with just loads of anxiety.
Absolutely. And when you mentioned about the fact that when you got to the airport you started eating straight away, when I reflect, I used to do that all the time, and it never made any sense to me, because I'm like, right, I've spent months dieting for this holiday to look good in this damn bikini on the beach, and I'm stuffing my face before I've even got there. And I remember like I got to the airport and I ran straight to Burger King, and I was just like trying to, and these burgers, they were like stale. It was vile. Over consuming on all this Burger King and just sitting on the flight feeling like absolute crap. And because I hadn't had any like processed food in, my stomach was out here. It was horrible. And I'm just like, why did I spend months dieting to not even get to the point where I actually put the bikini on and just enjoy 5 seconds of this like weight loss and whatever? But it's just the all or nothing mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just doesn't make sense when you reflect back, does it?
Literally. And I was going to say the same with me. I used to binge at the airports all the time. I'd get there, I'd have my full English breakfast, meal, then another meal, and then the meal on the plane.
Yeah.
And I also used to really suffer with, on long haul flights, well, really any flight that was over 3 hours, I would, my whole like body would swell up, but especially my ankles and my legs.
Fat ankles.
My
like Mr. Blobby when I get off a flight. I'm
Can't
like,
walk
what
properly.
Is this? Yeah.
Can't walk properly. Like my shoes don't fit anymore.
I can't even get my jeans off.
It's hot. So like everything's like sticking.
So I literally am just imagining, like, I remember like me and my friend on a flight, and I just looked over. We always say that we get really bad water retention, but literally like she had flip-flops on, and like it was like you could no longer see the straps of the flip-flops. She was like, what has happened to me?
I literally couldn't like tie, like I normally wear like trainers when like with like laces, and like literally couldn't even like do it up.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend would be like, what's happened?
Yeah, what has happened here? I just think people sometimes react so badly, but putting a binge on top of that reaction to a flight.
Yeah. And so body image would just be down the drain for me. But I think, sorry for interrupting the episode, but we just want to give a very quick shout out to our sponsors, us.
If you're loving this episode and the podcast so far and want to support this podcast further, then head to the link in the show notes and show your appreciation by donating us a coffee. We'd massively appreciate it.
There are also other ways to support us for free, like dropping us a rating and review on whatever platform you're currently listening to us on. If you're watching us on YouTube, then please like and subscribe.
And you can, of course, follow us on Instagram. It's at Rewrite the Rules Pod, and share our podcast with anyone that you think will love it.
We do all offer our own coaching and therapy packages if you would like to work with any of us. All links to those and more info are all once again in the show notes.
Now let's get back to the podcast.
There were two main reasons why I always wanted to lose weight. One, for the Christmas party. Two, summer. And, you know, and summer in my head started right after the Christmas party.
Yeah.
So in terms of like preparation, and yeah, it was just miserable. I'd just be so worried. Oh, I'm not going to fit into this. I used to buy clothes that were too small for me because
hell yeah,
they would definitely fit in the summer, especially
this will motivate me.
Yeah, this will motivate me, especially as I'm starting in January. And oh my God, I used to waste so much money doing that. It's so stupid. Yeah, just a lot of binging, a lot of just being miserable, just fixated on food, my body. And the thing is, it's like, I look back at photos of myself now, and even though this isn't my goal anymore and I don't care at all, but I look back at myself and I'm like, freaking hell, like you were tiny. And then I used to think I was huge. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, Harriet, you were so tiny. Like it just makes you think that like in the moment you just don't see it. And so it just shows that like whatever weight I would have got to, I wouldn't have seen it anyway. And so it just doesn't matter. And I think it's just so ironic now that, you know, how I am now, like I've gained weight and I just don't care. Like I don't care what my body really looks like. I just want to feel good. I just want to feel energized. And I think that was the worst thing as well, is that because I was dieting and restricting so much before holiday, binge on holiday. And, you know, typically people binge on like high carb, sugary foods. Well, that's what I did anyway. And matter of fact, those foods make you crash, right? And so I would have no energy on holiday, on top of like the shame and the guilt from like the psychological stuff from, you know, binging. And so I just remember, like, especially when you're in a hot country as well, it's just like, you know, I have just memories of being in Paris and in the summer where it's like really hot and like the whole, you know, it's like a European city where you're walking around. That's like the holiday. And just having like no energy because all I'm eating is croissants and donuts. And like, that's okay. Like, I'm not like, it's okay to do that. But because I'm in that mindset where I was like overeating and binging, it's just like, you can't do that. You can't, your body, like my body just couldn't keep up. And, you know, we would just be, and especially with the weather as well, the temperature, you just crash. And it's like you said, Natalie, you spent all this money going on holiday to just crash.
Yeah, literally. And it's that feeling of that just uncomfort, just walking around, feeling hot, feeling really probably painful from binges that you've had. I remember my skin was awful, literally awful, because like you say, eating a lot of, you know, high sugar foods in a small amount of time, my body doesn't react well to sugar, really annoyingly anyway. I just get really, really bad skin. And that's the thing, like those things are not allowing you to fully enjoy your holiday. You look back on these photos and half the time when we've lost this weight, we still don't think our body's worthy. You look back on them now and you're like, oh my God, but you're not only is the way that you're eating so disordered, your thoughts have just become so disordered that it doesn't matter what you look like, you are not going to feel good enough. It's like, does it work? Does it work?
You know, sometimes you look back at pictures and you can remember exactly how you was feeling in that moment. Like you knew exactly what you thought when your boyfriend turned the camera around and showed you the picture that he'd taken of you. And I think it's just so sad to remember like those sort of like dysmorphic thoughts. And just, I think it's really bizarre how you can just not see your own body. Like you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at the photo and you cannot see your body at all. But I think that's probably as well the fact that like you said, Harriet, like I've gained a little bit of weight as well. I didn't really notice until I tried to put a skirt on and it didn't fit. And I was like, okay, maybe I've put on a little bit of weight, but I'm no longer standing in the mirror, body checking. I'm no longer taking like photos of my body, like in my underwear, like criticizing every little bit. I'm no longer stepping on the scale every day. So like we say we don't care, but it's like we're not dedicating hours of our day to like stressing about it anymore either.
Yeah, it doesn't get
Yeah.
airtime.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good sort of spinning on talking about how we broke free, or the things that we've tried to do to move away from this said summer body.
We say it all the time, and we may as well just like put this in capital letters in our description, but filter your feed, please, for the love of Jesus.
We should change our podcast name to Filter Your Feed.
Or filter the rules.
Filter the
Yeah,
rules.
like it is so important. And I think until you're on the other side of recovery, you don't realize how important it was. So listen to 3 women who have been through it. Please just go onto Instagram, see who you're following, see whether their values match yours, see whether, you know, the content that they put on their stories or their feed, is that making you feel good? Are you having a neutral response? Are you having a negative response? Are you having a positive response? Just be a little bit more aware, ask yourself these questions, and like sort of then start questioning yourself. If you are panicked by the thought of summer, if the sun comes out and you're like, oh, I don't want to get in a bikini, why are you feeling this way? Who has told you that your body is not worthy? Are you telling this to yourself? Has someone made a comment in your past that has now making you feel this way? Have you seen something on social media or, you know, a magazine that is making you feel like your current body is not good enough? Like, ask yourself, are these your own thoughts, or is this diet culture and other people telling you these things? And then start to like be critical of the language that you're using, because it's okay. Like, you put something on and you might think, I look disgusting. Don't be mad at yourself for having that thought. Just try and slow down for a second and be like, okay, we've had this negative thought. Let's just try and reframe it a little bit. Like, you don't have to go straight into body positivity. Just be like, you know, this body that I'm in, like right now, is okay. It doesn't have to be amazing. I don't have to love it. Sometimes, like on some days, you just have to tolerate it and be like, there's nothing I can do. You've got 5 minutes before you've got to walk out in the sunshine in your bikini. There's literally nothing physically you can do in 5 minutes to change your body, but there is something that you can do in 5 minutes to try and change your mindset and change how you're looking at your body. So just like try and be critical of like the language you're using about your body, try and make it a little bit more kinder, and just like how you talk about yourself. And then just switch up who you follow on social media. Try and follow like a wide range of body shapes, and not just body shapes, like try and follow a wide range of messages as well. Yeah, we're not saying, oh, don't follow people who are like a size 8. It's all about their values and the message that they're putting across and whether it's making you feel good. Because we can all say, oh, just limit your time on social media. That's not realistic, because we all have Instagram, we all have been nosy and like scrolling. It's just a habit of our generation. So you've got to realize that like your mindset and how negative you are feeling about your body, it's just a product of your environment and a product of like the media that you are consuming. So the quickest way to change that message is to literally change who you follow. So try and follow people that are more, you know, about self-acceptance and body positivity or neutrality. Like, once again, you don't have to like jump into the pool of like body positivity, but you will find that like slowly those negative thoughts that you have won't last as long, and they won't appear as frequently, and you will find like your own mindset shifting to a more beneficial one. And then also educate yourself about perception. So I was literally explaining this to my best friend yesterday, because she was asking me like why. She was like, I put on a bikini last year and I took pictures in it and I hated my body. She was like, I couldn't post the pictures anywhere. I really hated it. And now a year on, she's looking back at that picture and she's like, I literally looked amazing. Like, why was I being so mean to myself? Why didn't I post the picture? Why did I feel so inadequate in that body? But a year on, I'm seeing how amazing I looked. So I basically explained to her that there was never anything wrong with her body. Like, there's nothing wrong with her body now either. There's never anything wrong with your body. It was literally just her perception and like her mindset and how she was viewing her body at the time. So I think that's just like an important mentality to remember, that when you're having these sorts of feelings, there's never anything wrong with your body. There's never an issue with your body. There's just an issue with how you're perceiving it in this moment.
I love
Sorry
that.
to go on a rant.
No, that was a beautiful rant, because it's so true. There's so much to say for body image and perception. And we can do another episode on this, but that's exactly it. Like, I think we've all looked at photos of ourselves in the past and been like, wow, I looked so amazing, but at the time I thought I looked disgusting. That's perception. But in terms of like how I dealt with it, I mean, there's so much I could say, but I think the most helpful thing I can say right now is focus on how you feel as opposed to how you look. And this might mean, if you're just starting your journey now, it might mean for this summer, investing in clothes that make you feel good. And it's not about having to like jump into teeny tiny shorts and teeny tiny crop tops. Like, purchase clothes that make you feel good. And that also might mean buying a size up. If you had to buy the size up, cut out the sizing label, if that's if that helps. But just focus on like feeling comfortable, because I think for a lot of people, the way that we perceive our clothes to look, and especially actually how they feel, if they feel tight, that can be really triggering. That could be like, okay, no, now I actually need to lose weight. Get rid of that trigger. Get clothes that make you feel comfortable. And again, like if that means like not wearing teeny tiny shorts or teeny tiny crop tops this summer, that's okay. Like that can be a goal for the future, but you don't need to kind of try and do everything at once. Sometimes I see advice that's like, just wear those clothes and feel good about it. And it's like, no wonder people, and even my clients are like, how the F am I meant to do that? People make it sound so easy. And it's like, you don't have to do that straight away. A good starting point is trying to like neutralize how you see yourself and how you see food. And I think that's like, it's a really hard job trying to just do everything at once and put yourself in like triggering situations. So I think just focusing on feeling good and focus on eating food that makes you feel good. And I know for me, like one of my biggest motivators was like having energy, and nothing zaps the energy out of you more than 1, under eating, 2, binging, 3, wearing tight clothes in summer. Like it zaps your energy. So, I think just focusing on what feels good, and, what also feels good for your mind, like, get into meditating, mindfulness, focus on your values and engage in value orientated behaviors. Like, there's so much that can come from summer that doesn't have to do with your body. My favorite thing about summer is just like, well, one of my favorite things about summer is like sitting outside with friends and family and like talking, being outside in the evenings when it's like that like breeze, and having a glass of rosé and having like beautiful conversations. And your body has nothing to do with that. Appearance stuff, pop it to the side, to the left.
Everything you own doesn't fit you, put in a box to the left.
Yes.
Yes. That skirt that don't fit you, put it in a box to the left.
Literally, please.
You have got to like, and even I love that you mentioned like social situations, but everything we do is literally impacted by what we wear. If I was to put on that skirt that was a little bit too tight, and even for a second I was like, oh, we can make this work, it's only for a couple of hours. No, you can't make this work, because you are going to be sitting there instead of enjoying that one-on-one time with the people that you love and having fun and being able to be chill, because you've put on something a little bit too uncomfortable. Once you've had a bit to drink, once you've had something to eat, your belly's going to expand because it's normal, and you're going to be more focused on like physically how your body feels instead of actually like engaging and making memories. So just a quick outfit change is so beneficial.
It's a really hard one to like discuss without, I don't want it to sound like I'm saying like don't wear that like crop top or don't wear those shorts, but it's just about not skipping steps. Like disordered eating and like struggling with your body image is really complicated, and maybe you're not ready to go out in a crop top and teeny tiny shorts, and that's okay. And it's just you don't need to skip steps, and you can at the moment just focus on the first few steps and getting through them. And then of course it's not saying like if you commit to this work and you're fully focused, of course there will be a day where you can go out, wear what you want, and it's all fine. But at the beginning stage, just do what feels good and comfortable for you.
Absolutely.
I love that. Couldn't agree with it more. I think it's really important. I feel exactly the same. I dress for comfort now. There's no way that I want to go out for a meal and have something cutting in. It's my worst nightmare. I don't know whether it as well lockdown brought that on. If I put on a pair of jeans, as soon as I get in the door, they're getting whipped off.
Oh, Jen.
I think that's such an important part, because we can also look at people and we can look at them and think, oh, but they're wearing that and I really want to. Look, if you don't feel comfortable in it, you're probably actually going to look even more amazing in something that you do feel comfortable in. For me, the main point of me really discovering that I didn't have to diet for a holiday is I got forced to not diet for a holiday. So it was a weird time in which we come out of lockdown and people weren't really going on holiday, but my friend booked a holiday and I think we had a month, and I remember literally the pang of anxiety being like, oh my God, a month, that's not long enough. And I even to the point asked her to see if she could move the date to later on. And she was like, no. And it really shocked me, because she's a person that I thought was would feel the same way, but she'd worked so much on everything and her relationship with her body that I just think she was like, no, not what you're talking about. And I didn't obviously diet for that holiday, and I went out, and she knew the anxiety that I felt, because I felt really out of my comfort zone with food. But she said, we're going to the shop, we're going to get a good breakfast, we're going to make ourselves a lunch, we're not going to restrict it anyway, we're going to eat exactly as we normally do, and we're going to go out every night because we enjoy eating out, and we're going to have drinks. And I tell you what, for the first 2 days, I felt so anxious and like I wasn't present. And I thought, this feeling is going to stick with me all holiday and it's really going to annoy me. And all I can describe it is like it melted away. It's like I let myself feel it. And I do think that I told her as well. And she was like, I know that you felt anxious, but that's why I've just literally just said this is what we're going to do. And I remember feeling that I had this sort of image of what I was going to look like after this holiday, and that's because of binges and the way that my body had reacted to them. And my body didn't react like that, and it's because I had to face that fear, and I just had to take it on, and I had to say what will be. But it was nowhere I felt the happiest, the freest, the most present. Yeah, it took me a little bit of time, but that's because these things do. You're not suddenly just going to wake up and say, I feel better now. Everything takes time. And yeah, of course, I ate certain foods and they made me bloated. I felt discomfort. I ate a big meal the night before. I put on a bikini. I felt, like I say, you feel a bit of discomfort, but I was willing to embrace that and just say, this is what my body does. And I'm not going to ignore it, but I'm going to focus on the positives that came from me eating out. Like you say, Harriet, times with your friends, making memories, those for me now are so much more important. And I don't want to waste any more time on solely focusing on this body type or body shape that I feel like I should have, because the positives so much more outweigh the way that I feel about my body. I know that it bloats, I know that it reacts to certain foods, and I know it's not going to last forever. The more I stress about it, the more my body is going to react, and that's just what I've come to figure now. And as well, realizing that, like we've said, this summer body is literally a marketing scheme for businesses to make money, and unfortunately that's the way that it is. And it's there to put that pressure on us, to make us buy into products, to make us buy into PTs, these diets. So remembering that fact, that unfortunately it is there for a reason, but we can choose not to listen to that. We can choose to remove ourselves from those pages. It's about us making that active effort to know, no, I know why this pressure is being put on me, because people want to make money.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Like people, these posts that you're seeing that are saying, join my program because you need to look like this. Like they're fucking profiting of people's low self-esteem. And it makes me so angry because that's exactly what they're doing. And they know they are doing it 100%. And yeah, like you can make that decision to disengage.
Definitely. But yeah, I think I really hope, like, look, everyone, your body has always been a summer body. It's always been an autumn body. It's always been a spring body. Your body does not need to change for seasons. And just remembering, I think it's really important, you know, maybe a tip to take away from it is when you have an occasion out with friends, family, going home and writing down what you really enjoyed about that evening, that day, what you laughed about, and rereading over that to remember that your life is supposed to be enjoyed.
Yeah, literally, like I don't really remember, but personally for me, like when I think back at my best summer memories, it's like my body doesn't come into it. It's not like, oh my God, my body looked really great that day, so I had a really amazing day. No, it's always, oh, we went to the most amazing restaurant, or the wine was really good there, or like we just laughed so much, or the sun just felt so amazing. My body never came into it yet. That was like for so many years was almost like the main character for me. But when you look back, you just don't remember that. So I think that's a really good tip, Natalie.
Yeah, but we really hope that you enjoyed this topic. I'm so glad we did it. So glad.
Me too.
So important right now because we can see the pressure, we can see the panic. So we just wanted to like reassure everyone listening that your body is completely valid and bikini ready. So put it on and get out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Feel good.
Love that. Yeah. But, yeah, we will see you next time with another topic. But yeah, just hope you really enjoy it and take something away from it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah. See you later, guys, and see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.